the expectation for this for this time, and let's dive into it. So I have a slide, but I may go off the slide, and the slide can be made available at the end of the session, depending on how Blessing wants it. So um, now that I've gotten the expectation of folks on the call, so we'll do more of talking outside the slide. But let me present my slide first. Let me see. Okay. So by the way, I'm doing this from Microsoft Office. So if you, I don't know if you've been to our office. If you've not been to the office, the January I facilitated an event that brings PM from the country to come and have a session at Microsoft. So um, we used to have that kind of opportunity. So um, is my slide visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead. Okay, so Lesson has mentioned a bit about myself, but let me just quickly run it through. Currently, I'm a senior program manager at Microsoft. That's my day job. So, and it's a technical program management role. So, what's the difference between a PM and a technical PM here at Microsoft is just when you are working more with the engineering side of things, services side, you are a technical PM. When you're working more with the business side, you are just a PM. So I've done PM also at startups and at a big company. Um, at some point in my past life, I was a PM. I was a PM at Venture Garden Group building payment solutions. And I was at eTransat, I was at cyberspace, writing software and and all that. So congratulations. You have just been you've passed the interview and you received your offer as a new PM. The next thing is what next. So I've taken some notes from the expectation on this call, like, okay, what do I do? Even at the point of interview, sometimes you're asked, so when you come in, what are you going to do? I remembered while I was interviewing, there was a company that even sent me like a PowerPoint deck for me to fill in what would be my first month, second month, third month, like a 90 days roadmap. So you're right. And another person also mentioned that not looking confused, that okay, so when I get there, not looking confused, that is very valid because I can tell you when I started my first PM job, I actually looked confused. In fact, I started gravitating, moving and shifting towards the engineers because I have an engineering background, right? So when things are very difficult and go, I just like, okay, let me see what you're writing in your API. Let me see what you're doing in your background service. How are you calling your Kafka? How are you doing your queue? So that really distracted me from doing PM work. So it's important if I had this opportunity like this that Envolab present, that would have been amazing for me. Trust me. Another expectation is to gain knowledge. And so some of the things I'm going to share, they are not going to be very new, but it's in two parts. My slide is in two parts. There is a TLDR, so too long, don't bother to read, like a theme of generally what should be your focus for the first 12 weeks. And the second part of the slide is a detailed plan of like day one, day two, day three, day four, like kind of thing that may be helpful, especially for those who that could be like a reference for those who are still looking for a job or those who will be starting their PM role uh, pretty soon. And if you have already, if you're in PM role too, you can just look at it. It could just be some of the things that if you're not doing, you can be doing it. So if you start doing it, then you can, do more of it. So welcome to the world of PM. We are glad to have you, and I hope that maybe sometimes to people on this call will be my colleague here at Microsoft. We would love to have you. So, what's the first thing you need to do? PM, it's about people, right? So, either it's 1 week, 60 days, 30 days, you need to know your team. It's very important. So, before your day one, try to have it in mind that you need to have a schedule of one-on-one meetings with your team. Here at Microsoft, right, the way it works is that when you come in, we you have, of course, your manager almost like the first or second day gets to speak with you, and he or she might help you set up some initial one-on-ones, people that she feels that, oh, you need to meet people in your team, people like our own peers, and maybe people a little above. But so that's very important. You need to even meet people like Bolaji. What's your name? Your blessing. What do you do here? How long have you been here? So you need to do that. And when you're doing that, you also need to learn about their strengths, challenges, areas of improvement, because you would need people to work with. PMs, you don't have people reporting to you. You lead by influence. So, and the way to gain trust of people is to first of all drop the work a little, meet them as humans, share as much as you can share, learn from them. Then your product vision and strategy, you need to take time to understand it. If it's in a Microsoft, uh, you will have documentation about product and vision and strategy, and like big companies. But in the past, I've worked in organizations as a PM where everything is just blank. So if they don't have anything, if you are going to be the first PM in the organization, or the PMs there have been doing PM like a project work or like a business analyst, so it will mean that you're going to meet with people, understand what the product vision and strategy is, even if it is not codified somewhere, and you need to try and document it the way you understand it. You can always go back and review with your manager, with your stakeholder, but always very important. This product that we're building, what is the vision? What do we want to be? And what's our strategy? And then your user. Users are very key. So there are different ways for you to understand who your users are. So if you are in B2B, I've done B2B, I've done B2C, I've done B2G, and I've done B2B2C, where you're selling to a business, but that business is the one providing that your product to their customer. So you need to understand your market segment, the user characteristics, check whether you have a persona. If you don't have, you begin to put it as some of the things that deliverables that you need to produce, and check with your customer service, feedback, any feedback mechanism that exists, either email or social media. Try to understand what is or what are your customers saying? And as you're doing that, you begin to identify in your mind areas for improvement and new opportunities. Those are the things that will form your follow-up conversation with your manager, for example, or when you are not trying to draw a plan of where you want to go. So you need to at first understand what it's available. So, and that's what I always tell one of my answers when they ask me, um, what are you going to do? I usually tell them maybe sometimes I give myself some buffer, like, oh, the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month, I need to understand this. And they said, no, but what we want you to come down and hit the ground. And I said, no, I don't understand. I don't have an idea of your environment and your customer. So I needed to plan, and my planning phase is I need to understand this and that. So users is very important because you're building a product that your users will love and that will work for your business. So it's important for you to understand your user. And you need to dog food your product. Dog food just means you need to start using it. If possible from day two, find a way for them to set you up on the product and start to evaluate your competitive landscape. Scape. Do that exercise mentally yourself. You may be fortunate if you are in the big tech for the product, you will always have at least something available for you to go check, to go look at, and to go see that, oh, these are my competitors, and this is their strength, this is their weakness, this is how we think we can, you know, enter the market, and this is how we think we can win in this market. But if you don't have that, you need to produce that. It doesn't mean that it has to be very detailed. It just means that you are interested and you can always build on it. For every team product, you start small, you iterate on it. Then, roadmap. Let me tell you a quick story about roadmap. When I started my product journey, I know roadmap from interview. One of the interview question I smashed them was the difference between roadmap and project plan and all that. But when I joined my team, there's nothing like roadmap. So I begin to figure out, my MD will ask, okay, so Bolaji, where's the roadmap for this product? I said, okay, give me tomorrow, it will be ready. I go into Excel. My MD then doesn't believe in product software. He believed that we can use Excel to do it. So with my colleague, we're able to come up with something that looks like roadmap. But the problem with that roadmap is that it wasn't collaborative. So it was a roadmap that I was building, fixing things. This is where we'll do mobile app. Of course, I was talking to the engineers, but it wasn't collaborative enough. And that's one of the lessons I learned in product work, that when you're building roadmap or any artifact, yes, as a PM, you're going to have your time as focused work, but immediately you build anything, try to get feedback from your stakeholders. So call a meeting if your culture allows you. So you may work in a place where uh, your culture is async. Like here at Microsoft, our culture is because we're distributed, so it's both hybrid. So as a PM, you start and people collaborate in your doc. They'll put documents, they'll put comments on that document. But at some point, you need to gather everybody together, even if it's for just 15 minutes, and do a readout. So that is very important. So you need to review and assess the product roadmap. So the final thing really is about defining what success is for you. As a PM, we are metric driven. So we're doing metrics from the view of the product, from the view of the organization, and ourselves as a career. What do you want to, achieve as a PM. So you need to first of all find out what goal, approach, or framework your team is using. So is it OKR? Is it KPI? So here at Microsoft, we use OKR, so objective and key result. So you need to frame your goals for the product, for yourself and the business in that light. So and in this area, you will depend on your manager to help you to scale that goal. So those are the goals that you will set for yourself for first month and for second month. It is on the basis of that goal that you're going to measure what you're going to do, and you can ask, okay, oh, I'm too aspirational, I'm too ambitious. I need to, recalibrate my goal, or the goal is just so too easy. So I'm sandbagging, and because of that, I need to, you know, um, update the goal to something more challenging and aspirational. So these basically are the things that you need to be aware of in your 60 days, 30 days, and 40 days. So, like I said, there is a daily plan that you can follow. Like, what do I do? 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 So, I don't want to bore us with reading this, but let's just look at day 26. Day 26 is the end of your first month. By that point, you should be able to, review the progress you've made for yourself based on your goal and the success metrics that you've agreed with your manager, and see whether you're meeting it and or not. So one thing I will share is that as a new PM, ensure that within your first to second month, you release something. So when I say release, it may not be a product because product may take time. In fact, by month one, you may not, depending on how big your team is, you may not have been fully onboarded to start managing sprints and do product work. But it could just be all your learnings, the customer, the product, the user, write a document and post it in your wiki, or create a deck, call people for meeting and discuss what you learned during your first week, second week, areas you think might need improvement or clarification, and people will help you. They will say, "Oh, we're interested. Oh, you've and they can easily point you to other materials in the company that will help you. So they might look at your line of argument and say, "Oh, yeah, this is right, but um, have you checked this particular wiki? We have a similar product like that in the past. Okay, I worked on a document. Let me send it to you and see if you can use it, if it can benefit you." So that's what I mean by always plan to release something. So it could be just the release note that you update. It could be a deck. It could be that they don't have a product roadmap, and by your month one, having understand the user, the strategy, the business, you're able to create one. What if there's no strategy, there's no vision? That means that in your first month, you need to get everybody together, workshop it. So avoid the tendency that you should have all the answers. As a PM, even if it's not a mature organization and they don't know about PM, start the work, but call everybody together. If you can't call everybody together, walk up to them, mail them, get their input, and find a way to bring all that together and make it visible. When you start to do that, your engineering counterpart, your design counterpart, they'll start to pay attention to you that, oh, this person coming to the team is actually going to add value beyond just updating Jira tickets and just asking them what's the status, when is this going to ship and all that. So the rest, when we get the slide, if we're interested in the details, we can always, look at it. So let's talk about, because this topic is about the 460 days. So we're in day 60. Just evaluate your impact and analyze your metric and user feedback to assess the success of the product improvement. But a caveat, if you are in a place like where I am, 60 days is too small for you to have impact. In fact, some products, um, I'm told you would need like 2 years to understand it deeply. But you don't want to fold your arms like, okay, this product is complex, I'm still learning it. While you're learning it, you based on the metrics and for success, there are your objective and key results that you can always deliver. So that is if you are in a big product organization. But if you're in a startup, um, you won't have that luxury of time to learn the product and to start showing impact. So by your quarter 1, I expect that at least your product team, they are in shape. They have the roadmap of what to build, and everybody is aligned on the vision of the product. Everybody understands the go to market, the channels that we're going to use. And if you have product marketers, they know how to go and do positioning, messaging for your product because they've seen your vision and your strategy document. You've socialized it in a way that they also see the roadmap and everybody understand the work they need to go do. The engineers now understand that, oh, this is our customer. These are the kind of things that we need to enable, and they can begin to plan their work and help you to achieve that goal. So that's what I have for us at this. So I would be open to take questions. So if there's some areas that you want me to talk more about, either big tech, small tech experience, please you can unmute and let's let's do this.
All right, thank you very much. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm really having a bad
Yes.
time with my network. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. So, guys, if we have questions, let's go ahead to raise our hands for orderliness sake. Let's raise our hands so that we can take questions. So if you have questions, please go ahead to raise your hand so that our speaker can do justice to your to answering your questions. Right? It would not be nice if we just unmute like that. Right? I'm seeing some questions on the chat box, and I just quickly like to um attend to it. Someone says, "Will the link be pasted here?" What link? What is the YouTube channel name? Innova Lab. on YouTube. So you can just go to Innova Lab on YouTube. Yes, thank you, Faith. Faith has answered your question, so there's no need. All right, guys. Okay, we have two hands up. Yes, we have Abby Ademuyiwa. Hi, Abby. Please unmute so that you can ask your question.
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here. I'm really honored. So let me just give you a brief background so you understand where I am coming from. I've worked, as a customer support representative all my life, right? I have over 5 years of experience doing that. However, I want to transition into product development. So for customer services now, for an entry role, for instance, we could have, let's say, customer services representative. And when you are being promoted, you could move to, let's say, senior customer services, right? Now, for product, for instance, what I've been seeing most of the time is I see things like product owner, I see senior product owner, I see product developer. In your opinion, for an entry level or for someone who is trying to make take baby step, for instance, what would you say is the terminology used for someone who is coming into the products, world as a newbie? So that's my question. Thank you once again.
So thank you, Abby. By the way, you have a very great transferable skill, customer support. You will make an amazing PM, trust me, because you're already used to, users, customers, and you know where to go to find insights about customer problems. And if you are very passionate to solve those kind of problems, you're just a very great asset to your team. So so number one, don't let title, you know, um, discourage you. And PM differs from organization to organization. So Microsoft actually started PM in tech, and it's called Program Manager. So even now, some of us answer Product Manager, but we still have Program Manager. So it's program because we do both product work and sometimes a little of project work to manage your sprints, your team, the sprints for your team. So when you're starting, some may call it, it depends. So some organizations, they have product owner. So product owner is an agile terminology. So some will call it, some have product management, and they also have product owner. Some organizations want you to just be PM, and from PM you do the work of PO, and some have what we call business PM, data PM, technical PM. So technical PM, usually, from my experience, you need to have some background in coding because you are majorly working with the engineers. So your users are the engineers. So you're not business customer facing, you are engineering facing. So sometimes you are a PM for low level, like building APIs, things that systems to systems will consume, or like building cloud. So if you're working with Amazon and you're building the cloud infrastructure, or you're working with Azure, you're building the cloud infrastructure itself, you are more like a technical PM. And in some instance, some technical PM, they have to write some spec, a little of a program spec that developers will now go build on. So it depends from organization to organization. While I was at VGG, for example, we have PM, senior PM, but we have different levels. I think we used to have, I've forgotten now. I know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of. So in other organizations, you can be PM and you will be called assistant manager, PM, or senior PM. You can be a PM and you're a senior executive, or you are. So it depends on the terminology on the company. What is important for you as you are entering the PM world is what are you bringing to the table? You have a strength in user. If you can use that strength very well and understand how to, craft vision and strategy, understand how you can leverage that two together to understand, and you understand how to work with your engineers. Forget about the title. At the end of the day, what you want is an opportunity for you to work and to earn. And as you move from industry to industry, you will understand how to, navigate the title space. I hope that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much for that one. It does make sense. We have another hand up, or we have two other hands up. Hi, Philip. Please unmute to ask your question.
All right, thank you. Please, can you hear me?
Yes.
It can be a little
Okay.
bit more audible.
Okay. Is it better?
Yes, yes, yes. Very better.
Okay. Thank you very much for the section, Mr. Bolaji. I really learned a lot, but I would like you to touch on three aspects. So, personally, I currently lead a product team. Let me put it that way. But my background is in business writing and SEO. So I transitioned into product management, more like product overseeing, because all the things that you have demoed and presented on this call, they have miles apart from my idea of what product management is all about. So I really appreciate that. So my first question is, what does a product roadmap look like? You did make mention of a roadmap. I think it was the
Yeah.
third slide or the fourth slide. That is one. Then also, I want to ask if it is important for a product manager to have a background in project management. That aside from the fact that one should have an idea of the methodologies. You mentioned agile, I think, yes. So aside from the fact that one should have an idea of those methodologies, there a necessity to have a background in project management. Then the third one is, let's take for instance my situation. So of course none of these procedures happened, and we are currently on the fifth release of that product. So we have not done all of this. Of course, we have the user analytics, what success is, but it was not in that, in quotes, defined order. So is there like a way to mitigate that? Should we like do another like emergency meeting and create that roadmap? Or is it too late already? Is there something else that could be done to salvage that situation? So those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. First, you're a writer. I'm an expert writer. So in PM, writing is one of the super skill that you need to have, and um, I'm glad you have that skill. So let me start from your last question. So my advice would be that number one is not late. My advice is that after this call, maybe when you get the slide or anything, you can just start backfilling. So if you don't have it, all those things are in your head, right? Or in somebody's head. It's just that you didn't document it. So there's no way you build a product without going through those stages, but it was not defined. So I've been in that situation before too. We're building, but it was not defined. In fact, that time I didn't know I was doing product work until a colleague of mine said, "This thing you're doing for us is actually called product management." So I went to go and Google it, because then I just got fed up of writing code. So I start coordinating, talking to users and doing everything. So that was actually how I transitioned out of coding to product management. So all you need to do is go back, understand what vision and strategy is. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Create a simple page. The vision for this product is blah 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 blah. What is the strategy? What are the three areas or three pillars of your strategy? Write it down. You already know it. And if you don't know it, brainstorm. Just use that one as a workshop it together. Let everybody write some things that they already know. Then you have completers. If your product is novel at all, there's a competitor. Do you know your competitor? Do nothing. If your product does not exist, people will still survive. So that's a competitor for you. So and I'm sure maybe somebody else is doing that or something adjacent to it. Document it. So just walk back. So it's not late. So and you are going to help not only yourself and your team, but people you are going to onboard into your team. So once you onboard them, the first 1 week, 2 weeks, just share that document with them. They read it and they can now contribute to that knowledge. So it's a good thing. Project management, should you have project management knowledge? I'll say yes. And if you're on this call, you don't have project management skill, go learn it. It's good for everyone. You can't execute strategy without understanding project management. It doesn't mean that you will be a project manager, but it just means that you understand what schedule is, what costing is, what work breakdown structure is. Just it doesn't matter the framework you are using, either you are using PMI or you are using the British one, just escaped me now. Prince 2. Yeah, it doesn't matter the methodology, but just understand basic project management, because everything we do, we project manage. Sometimes you want to move from one house to the other, and once you list your objective and your vision,
Hi, Juliana. Can you please mute?
okay, I think it's Juliana that is interrupting us. So if there's a way you can mute,
All right.
ah, okay,
I'll do it
thanks.
on my end.
Yeah. So project management skill is a life skill. Please go learn. Even if you are if you are a baker, if you are a mechanic, if you are an engineer, it's good to have it. Roadmap. So roadmap is just a document that shows things that you have in plan to do. There's a different debate whether it should be committed roadmap, that is things that has dates, it depends, or things that we're going to do. But for every product, there should be a roadmap. Roadmap just show like a PM that you are looking ahead, like, oh, this my phone as a product. What are the next stages of release? What do we need to do? This my app. Do we need to build mobile app? If we're building mobile app, if for example, if it's a fintech app, are we going to do integration? If I'm doing integration, where am I going to start with? NIPS, e-transact, interswitch. It will be a block. Oh, then I'll start going to do integration with the banks, Zenith Bank, Access Bank. When will it happen? Now, later, future. Oh, we are changing platform. We are moving from AWS to Azure. You put it on your roadmap. It is that roadmap that you will use to communicate your strat. That's how you communicate your strategy and your vision of the product. It may not be that, depending on your organization, may not be a committed roadmap. And especially when you now have a product that is like a SaaS product, that is one product for many customer. They want to see your roadmap, like, oh, we want to be able to download our our reports. into Excel, but it's not available. When will it be available? They will go to your product page and co and see that, oh, it will be available in 2024 quarter one. So that helps your customer, that helps everybody, and your engineers can look at the roadmap and now create their own plan. They know that, oh, once we finish this, we need to enable this. It doesn't mean that your roadmap is cast in stone. If like AI is the next thing, for example, if there's a new innovation or a government regulation, it can change your roadmap. If government just come around and say, oh, there's a limit to the number of withdrawal, there's a limit to the there's a new KYC identity and co, that becomes an urgent work that you need to prioritize and now reshuffle items on your roadmap. But you have to have it. It doesn't matter whether it is the presentation is a different matter, but what are the key things that you want to do for your product going forward? You list them, and in what order? What are we focusing now? What is later? What is future? Or maybe it's in months, it's in quarter. Then you can color code it. For example, what is committed? Committed means that sales can take it and go and promise customer and say by September this feature is going to be available. They can start selling. That's committed. Non-committed means that, oh, we want to do it because we know that it will help our product. But of course, we may start looking at it, and because we are still figuring it out, it may not happen, but we are definitely going to get there. So I think I've answered your question.
Yes, yes, you have. Thank you very much for that one. We have three hands up. Hi, Fire, okay? Okay, please unmute. Let's have your question. Please, guys, let's make sure that our questions are very straightforward and short so that we can keep the time. We would not want to, eat into the time of our speaker. Right. So, yeah, Fire, okay, please go ahead.
Hello, Fire. Okay.
Okay, maybe Fire, okay, raised their hand by mistake. Hi, Kule David.
Hello.
Yes, please. Go ahead with your question.
Great. Hi, Bolaji.
Hello, Kunle.
Hi. So, my question quickly is, how do you get people to, I mean, in a user survey, right? Okay, let me give you a bit of my background. I've run 2 startups now that have failed, and that is, for me, is because I do not know how to do product management, which is why I'm learning how to do product management myself, as opposed to giving it to somebody to do. So so that's why I'm on this call. So during the startup, I mean, I found out that a lot of the user surveys that I've done, I don't get feedback as much as I want, probably 1 or 2, and it's not enough for me to have an insight of the market. So which is why I'm asking that question, because you throw out user surveys, but except if those people are people that you know personally, otherwise people tend to not just answer your questions. So that's, so I'd like to know, from your point of view, how best to do that.
Yeah, thanks, Kunle. And yeah, there's always a lesson to learn when startup fails. And we need you to continue to push on. Number one is that for user interview, for getting feedback from the user, it's very important. You need to understand whether the problem you want to solve for them is a problem that they have and they are ready for it, and the market is ready for it. So there's a problem with sending surveys out, but I would say that number one, you need to use all different methods to get your feedback. I don't know the kind of product you're building, but if there's a way you can, number one, meet those customers one-on-one, have a prototype. You don't have to build it. It may just be a way you can describe it and ask them, why will you not buy this product? Why will you not subscribe to this? Give me all the reasons why you think you won't use this. Or if you want to understand what is their problem, then you know those questions that are not leading, open-ended questions where they can just tell the story about how they are solving a problem, and you can begin to note the pattern. So you need to talk to your user directly. So you need to prioritize going, finding those users. If it is consumers you are targeting, please, if you can give yourself a target of speaking to at least 30 people. That will be fine. For online survey, to be effective, you may need to spend, money with those agents. But the problem is that how do you target those who have that problem so that they are not just filling those survey? So one thing you can do is that depending on your product, you may build a landing page, or you may use AdWord, such that you can place advert on Facebook. Facebook is good at targeting, for example. You can place advert, and when people click that advert, it takes them to a survey. At least you solve a problem that for somebody to see the advert, it shows that they are within that interest. And if they click it, we love to help. For me, maybe because I'm in product, when I see a survey, I hardly ignore survey. I know people ignore it, but maybe because I'm in product, so I understand what the other person is trying to do. So I'm always kind of very helpful. And the third is that you need to also do a focus group. So find some users, bring them into a room and discuss with them. So try and use those three approaches, and I think you can get better insight into the problem you're trying to solve.
Great, thanks. Well, the other thing is that your LinkedIn profile is on the deck, but if it's possible for you to put it in the chat so that we can follow you immediately.
Okay, I can put it, but if you're not, you can just find Obolaji, LinkedIn/Obolaji. So you see me.
Thanks.
I think we have Damola.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, so I'm Damola. So thank you for today's session. And one of the things that has been very paramount for me while you spoke was about creating value for your team when you join a team. So I want to like for you to like give more context on when you join a team, for instance, there are a lot of they might have some products in pipeline, some features, so many things going on. There are a lot of wikis for you to work around, and you're trying to like permutate on what exactly to be able to pinpoint in your first 12 weeks. So I want to like one of the contests you gave us you creating like a release and then bringing them together to make sure you kind of person can bring value to the team. So I wanted to like talk more deeper on that level, like put more context on something you've done personally and the kind of results you got from those initiatives you did. And the second thing I would love you to talk about is working around company wikis. Like sometimes when you join team, you see a lot of documentations, and the HR team might do their best to work you through some of them. Your managers might do, but what are the things you use to like make some priority lists for the things you need to pay attention to when going through this wiki? Like some tips that will help me personally in working around those wiki. Then the last thing I want you to like talk from a personal note is like working with feedback, especially when, like you said, most teams now are distributed, and you ask yourself, how best you can work with probably engagement teams, customer support team as a new person, because you're coming in with a blank state and at the same time an open mind, and you're trying to see from an outside person now coming into the company. There are some things you noticed that might improve the product, and even though you might not be able to contribute at the first 12 weeks, but how do you work around providing value to those external stakeholders that are not majorly into the product team, like the customer support and all of that? Thank you.
Thank you, Damola. Let me answer in reverse order. So I share your pain if you're working on a distributed team. I do too. There's at least 8 hours time difference with the team that I work with mostly. Even though there are some in Europe that is just 1 hour different, but most of my core team there's 8 hours, difference. So it can be challenging, and sometimes your product is complex, so you need to talk to different partners, and you are new. You're talking to somebody who has spent 20 years, 18 years in the company, who has been on the product for 6 years, 7 years. So the question is, how do you even frame your question so that the person will know that at least you've researched some things. So it could be very tough. So that's where you need your manager, and that depends on the culture of the organization. So I'm speaking from the big tech perspective now. Here at Microsoft, managers are very helpful, so they will help you navigate that. But if you can't get that help, that is where you need to focus first on that building relationship. Set up those one-on-one meetings, let them know about you, talk to them before you begin to request something from them. So if you know that in 2 weeks, in 1 week, I might get to customer support, try to schedule one-on-one meeting before that request if it's possible. Then the following week, then you can now ping the folks and say, I need this, can you help me with this? What can we do about it? Company wiki, I also share your pain. It could be overwhelming. I'm still reading, and you can imagine when you are in a 47-year-old company, there's a lot to soak in. But I will say prioritize, right? So the very first thing you need to read, if it's possible, is the vision, the strategy document, the competitive landscape and competition analysis, and the roadmap. So read that. So from the roadmap, now look at what is your team? What have you commit to do this quarter, this semester, depending on your terminology? Then read things around the immediate priority. As you go along, you can begin to read historical things, but prioritize reading things that would give immediate value to what you're working on. Of course, you can get into deep link that you now need to go read what happened 1 year ago, 2 years ago, but don't start from, if your product is 3 years old, don't start from year one. Once you read your vision, strategy, and go to the latest, the last sprint planning, the current roadmap, and start from there. Value for the team. If you can bring donuts, please do. If you can buy pizza for the team, they are working out, that's fine. But aside that, right? One of so the team is expecting you because you have a fresh eye. They are buried in the problem, right? So they're expecting you to come and spot something and be empowered. Don't think that, oh, you are very new, you can't say something. It depends on the manner of approach. You can just say, is there any reason why we do it this way? Because I think it should be this. They will look at it and say, oh, yeah, we didn't see it like this. So don't pressure yourself to find value, to find correction, no. But By the time you are, but just look at the thing from outside, look at it from as a user. Yes, this is the best example. When you are joining that team, first of all, don't immediately fall in love with all the documents and the approach. Look at it that, oh, if I'm the customer and they are selling this to me, what will I improve? Or if there's nothing to improve, what is it that they want to drop that I will tell them, no, don't drop this? Or what is it that they are not the messaging is not strong about, but you feel strongly about it? You don't need to be right, but just have an opinion. Have that opinion, be able to articulate it. If you are wrong, they will give you better perspective and they will respect you for that. So just come with the eyes, not as a PM for your first 1 2 weeks. Come with the eyes of a user to say, oh, I'm a user, so and I'm going to pay for this product. If I'm going to pay for it, how will I want this product uh to come out to be? How will I want this product to the shape for this product? What do I want from this product? So from that outside perspective, you'll be able to contribute something valuable. And anything you've learned, find a way to talk about it.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much, Mr. Bolaji. We have Abby's and all. Firecare, can you speak now?
Yes, blessing.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bolaji. I have two questions. The first one, when you started the session, you made mention of that at Microsoft you normally have sessions for PMs sometimes. So I want to know how often does that happen, and if one is interested in participating in such, how do interested parties go about? Is it open to anybody that is interested, or there's a criteria you have to meet to partake in that? Then my second question is, if you're joining a startup that is just starting from scratch, because everything we've been talking about has to do with probably companies that have already been in existence for a few years or something. But if it's a startup that is just starting from the scratch, and you're the PM there that is supposed to, so they already have a product, they have an app already built up, but they want you to come in to launch the app, sort of. So you're supposed to build a team. So my question is, for such a scenario, what exactly would be the first step you would take to be taken as a PM? Joining a company that already has a product that they've concluded everything they have to do on it, but they're bringing you in to launch the product. How do you go about that?
Yeah. So let me quickly ask a follow-up question. So did they leverage the service of a PM to get to that point, or
No,
the engineers just built?
they didn't leverage the service of a PM, not at
Okay.
all.
So the first thing before you build a team, which I think was one of the mistake one of my boss I think made when I joined one of the startup, we're just forming a team and we're figuring it out, is that as the first PM, do the hard work. Go back. The app is built fine, but what's the vision? What's the strategy? You can even go and look at some of the artifacts of what they build and create like a roadmap, a retrospective roadmap. Then you now do a looking forward roadmap. That's one. Secondly, that company is actually thinking that you should come as a growth PM, not as a PM. So they're actually looking for a growth PM, a PM that can scale what they've built, bring in customer and get value for the product and co. But what if it's a wrong problem that they're solving? So that as number one PM, you need to help untangle that space. understand that actively who are the customer, then go talk to them. Then the second job is when you are not building a team. So you are not bringing PM that will not be frustrated. At least you've done that hard work for them. So the next thing is now you are either what they call the group product manager. That is a product manager that also still is a manager of people and is an individual contributor. Or you may just be a people manager. And when you're a people manager, you bring your team, you assemble your team together. At least they know the vision, they know the strategy. The next thing is for you to start managing them one-on-one and encouraging them to do discovery, to talk to customer weekly, to use the product, to iterate on it, look at the competition, the competitive landscape, and build the next iteration. But before you go to building of team, ensure that you are not bringing your team to come and just suffer. So do the hard work, then create those things, understand, create a path for that company, and let them understand whether they've solved the right problem before you start. Because if you are solving a wrong problem, no matter the number of people you are bringing to the team, it's just X multiplied by 0. They will be frustrated. So for your first one, so we have a PM community here at Microsoft, and I think me and Blessing, we can chat about that. Occasionally, we talk to people like Envolab, and sometimes we bring them in. And when they come in, they are the one that will send the invite out to their cohorts or to people. So it's not weird. So when they come in, then they meet Microsoft PM to we talk about different topics that, for example, if Envola want me to do this in a face-to-face, for example, it could have happened and everybody will be at Microsoft and I'll deliver this face-to-face. So we work with organizations like Envolab. So
All right, thank you very much for that one. We have two ends up. Guys, we might not be able to take all of the questions. So the last two ends up will be the last questions that we'll be taking. Although there is a question in the chat box that I'd like us to quickly attend to. It's from
okay,
Jennifer Francis. She says
please
in
read
a
it out.
startup, yes, she said, what is the ideal number of people to be onboarded as part of a product team? She said she recently got a job, a PM role in a startup, and was told to build a team. And she's currently the only PM working alongside three product designers. And she's thinking it is quite much and wondering if the task should be assigned to them individually or as a team.
How many designer?
Three designers
How many engineers?
did not mention.
So there's this donut rule, right? That a team should not be more than two donuts. No, not donut. Pizza, two pizza.
Design
Yes, there's that two pizza rule, right? So pizza is 8, right, or 6? I don't know. So,
eight.
so okay, 8. So a team should not be more than 16, right? But that is a team. But a product team, what forms a product team is that you have a dedicated PM, a dedicated designer, and dedicated engineers. So now, depending on what you're building, your engineers could now be front end, back end, QA, and maybe mobile, mobile or API, whatever. So, but you have a dedicated engineer and a dedicated PM. So, because she has 3 designer, she can only have 3 teams for now. So you need to go get 3 PMs for those 3 designer, and for those 3 PMs and 3 designer, they need to go and from their own dedicated engineering teams. So depending on how complex the product is and how the engineering organization structure, there may be some engineers that may work across those three teams, like maybe infrastructure engineers, right? They don't, but experienced engineers that are building the experience, the customer experience side, they must be dedicated. So, but the engineers that are building the infrastructure, that are migrating, that are building things that are shared services, then the engineering organization can, figure out how to organize them. So, because she mentioned three designer, so she needs to build three team for now. Hire three more product managers, then ensure that each of those team has their own um, experience focused engineers.
Okay, I believe that she has gotten that. All right, Abby, please, let's have your question. Please make it very short because you've asked a question prior. But that does not stop you from asking another question. But please make this question short. Hi, Abby. Okay, I'm not sure Abby is there. Hi, Perpetual.
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry. I'll make it very brief. I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
please go ahead.
Yes, Bolaji, thank you once again. Remember the other time that I asked my question, I mentioned the fact that I've worked in customer services all my life. So for someone who is trying to transition into the product world now, and with no experience apart from the internship that you guys are going to provide for us, how do you think I can get started again? For someone who already has 5 years, how do you think I can tweak my CV? I don't mean to sound pessimistic, but at the same time, I think it's a valid, concern. Thank you.
Okay, Abby. First thing I'll tell you is that you have experience. You have product experience. So don't say you don't have experience. What you may not, what you may be lacking is how to frame your experience, right? And one thing I will ask of you is that go build a product. Go and build a product. So um, find a way, go build a product. I'm sure uh, Blessing can assist you from some frameworks.
I
If,
don't
if
mind.
not, if not, you can reach out to me. So go build a product that will give you a level of confidence. And that internship, great, go do it. By the time you listen to other PM's story, don't let my own story is different. Yeah, I have a computer background, that's fine. But I started PM from ground zero and I started learning, right? And sometimes it's easier for those who don't have tech background to grow very fast in product because you are not attached to the solution. You can see the problem even more than I will see the problem. But sometimes because I still read code and I still follow so sometimes I'm just like curious to say, this is a class, this is a new what's happening here. So but for you are passionate about the user. So what I'll tell you is that go build a product.
Thank you.
100%. That is that is like the most perfect answer. Like what you always say, Banjo will say, no experience in no experience is a waste, especially when you're coming into product management. You can always relate your prior experience to whatever it is that you want to do, especially if it's not even product management. You can always relate your prior experience to product management. And Bolaji just reconfirmed that. So yes, thank you so much for that one, Bolaji. So let's have Chimoy Perpetual. Perpetual, please go ahead to ask your question. But before Perpetual go ahead to ask a question, guys, let's go to our social media and let's go and start dropping the things that we have learned. I mean, in this session, yes, the our delivery was did I say our delivery now? Balaji's delivery was really straight to the point, but the interactive session is just blowing my mind. And the way he's nailing these answers, I'm so happy. So I want you guys, especially people that have asked questions, I want you guys to go ahead to your social media, drop one or two things that you have learned from this session, tag Innova Lab, tag Bolaji, and let people also learn from the things that you have learned, right? Bolaji has watered us. Of course, we can also water other people, right? Yes, that's what I wanted to chip in. I still have one other thing to chip in, but I'm not going to chip it in now. So let's have Perpetual. Hi, Perpetual. Please go ahead to ask your question.
Hi, Blessing. Thank you, Bolaji, for this wonderful session. So I'll go straight to the question. I'm currently working on a project as a contract product manager, and I started the project around April, and things were moving perfectly well. The teams were motivated. Everybody was putting in the effort, working with serious effort. But at some point, late last month, I started noticing that the team's motivation is like gradually going down. Most especially from the development team. The designers are up and doing, they are doing what they are supposed to do. Their designs are on track with the sprint that we have. But for the development teams, from the back end and the front end, we are having a serious hitches there. Um, it's either they are giving you complaint that they are busy, they don't have time to work on this. Let me just use the scenario that just happened from one of my back end guys. He was given a task to work on the API, the user profile API, for over 3 weeks now. He never communicated it to anybody. I kept on asking him, how far with the API are you done? And he just tell me I'm working on it. Little did I know that he wasn't working on anything. Like, he was just there. Then earlier this week I asked him, how far are you done with, like, the time for the task has elapsed for a very long time now, and we are still working on it. So he complained that he hasn't seen any design for the user profile he's supposed to work on. So when I reached out, and from my end, from the Figma link I have, I can see the designs. Then from the designers, the designs for the user profile is there. But from him, he say he can't see it. And then I noticed, like, there is a whole lot of like, the motivation is not just there, not only from the back end, from the front end, the whole developers, they are just giving excuses of, I'm busy, I'm working on other projects, I only have little time to work on this. So the thing is making me feel like, is it that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do very well as a product manager? I'm just feeling overwhelming. Like, in this kind of scenario, as someone who has been in product management for a very long time, what can you do to solve this problem? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel your pain, sister. Right. I've been there, and I understand, and also being a developer, so I understand that we can frustrate PMs. Sorry about on their behalf. Sorry, Biko.
Thank you, sir.
Hmm? So after this session, just go and take cold water. So back to your
Thank you.
back to your question, right? Uh, it seems to me that you need a strong engineering manager. What you are doing is actually not the product management work when you have an empowered product team. But I understand some people use product manager as project manager and as everything, right? So you need an ally in your head of engineering or engineering team. Number one. Number two, from your part, what you can do is to continue to tell the story of the product. Let them be excited about the problem. Maybe the problem is not even something that excites them. Maybe they can't see the vision. They can't see the customer that you've interviewed that are waiting for the product. They can't see those who have maybe later people who have dropped money waiting. So let them see those value. Also, bring the donuts. You can go and read about Penotting's blog. Yeah, I actually call it bringthedonut.com or something. So sometimes give those developer pizza or donut, but don't make it too frequent, because otherwise for every code they will tell you, Perpetua, please, I'm hungry. Here's our donut. But you can always do that. And I also think that for motivation, one thing about engineers is that they love to ship, because they too wants to go to another company and say, I build this product and we have this X number of user and it makes this revenue. So for as much as you can paint that picture for them and you can help them see, engineers also don't want to waste their time. If they've done it in that company before, they know that we just do it now. They won't sell it. They will junk it. They will be giving you attitude. So you are not to push them. Partner with your engineering manager to do tax management. You tell the story of your product, get them excited to solve their problem.
Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
right. Thank you so much, Bolaji, for answering the question. Somebody said, "Oh, I'm craving donuts already. I can't count the number of times that I've heard donuts on this call, and I'm also craving donuts."
Yeah, every Tuesdays, even here at Microsoft, I bring donuts. So
Oh, that's nice.
so it works, right? Bring the
Right.
donut. Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you so much, Bolaji, for this awesome session. We really do appreciate you, and we are grateful for the gift of today and the gift of you. You came and blew our minds, answered our questions, more like give solutions to certain problems. Right? Thank you so much. We really do appreciate that. Yes, and we look forward to doing more. Before I pass the microphone down to Innova Lab, that's Banji, I would like to share the link to the community. Oh, sorry, I muted myself by mistake. So I would like to share the link to the community. So if you're not on Innova Lab community, it is a place that you should be. And yes, it's a place where we discuss, we have conversations regarding, because it's a PM space, right? And we have conversations regarding problems and how to um, go about them. It's more like a place where you can just come, ask questions. Oh, guys, I'm going through this. How do I, do this? How do I mean, if you're having blockers, right? It's just a place where you can quickly come to, and people who have an idea. And one good thing is one person will always have an idea of what you're asking, right? And conversations will come up, and you just see how people are just preferring solutions to that problem. So it's a place where we have really amazing conversations. So if you're looking for a community, then a career community to join, a product space to join, then Innova Lab community is just that place for you. The link is in the chat box, so please go ahead to click the link in the chat box and join the community. And we look forward to seeing you on the other side of Innova Lab. I call it the other side of Innova Lab. All right. So yes. Um, let me hear from Banji. Yes, hi Banji.
Yeah, hi, Blessing. Thank you. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
hi. Good evening.
Yeah, it's been an interesting session. And this is one session that it's been a while I joined a session for a long time. I dropped off somewhere in between, but I joined again. I want to appreciate Bolaji for taking the time out to do this with us. It's been an interesting conversation, and even myself, I still picked out a couple of things from the conversation, right? And I think just like this lady said in the chat section, was Faith. Faith talked about donut, donut, donut. The way we hear donut repeatedly this evening, it's like donut is ringing bell. But I think it was something that I have said before one time ago that you have to buy pizza for your developer sometimes. So Perpetua, I have not buy pizza for you. You buy pizza for your developer one time, they're going to shine face with you and smile with you. As Gaia Bolaji said, he buys donut every Tuesday. Just send child deck or something or either life to them to deliver pizza to them for free, and you see that your developers are going to have motivation the next day. But yeah, it's an interesting conversation, and I'm really excited to be here as well. Thank you so much, Bolaji, for taking the time to do this. We really, really, really appreciate. And I'm definitely coming back to your DM to see how we can probably organize something at Microsoft and probably bring a couple of product managers to Microsoft for a physical conversations with experienced product managers in Microsoft. I think it's going to be an opportunity. The minute I heard it, I say, I must come and talk about this one so that I'm sure everybody in the communities, especially the Lagosians, you people are going to second and support that. Lagos! So that we can have this conversation physically, get to, for some of us, it's going to be like a motivation for some of us to, even if you're not planning to work at Microsoft, but just that opportunity to come in physically, have conversations, experience people, and just the way traveling helps to expand people's minds is the way going into some certain environment to help to expand your mind, right? Especially as in this tech career path, right? And I would definitely be in Bolaji's DM on that conversation. I would most likely be we'll share with Blessing, and myself and Blessing will most likely be bringing this conversation to the community at large. Thank you so much, Bolaji, for she giving us the opportunity to have that conversation with you. So finally, again, I think some persons were asking about. I heard some persons asking about where did they get this information from. I'm sure Bolaji will probably share the slides so that he talked about he itemized some day-to-day activities. So when he shared the slide, we'll definitely share with everybody in the community so that you guys can have the slide in terms of what you do every day, for the next couple of weeks. I think 60 days or 90 days as we discussed, right? Also, we would also upload the recording of this session on YouTube. So again, if you just go to search for InnovaLab on YouTube, we have some prior sessions there as well. For Perpetua having issues with developers, we had an experienced product manager had a conversation with us sometimes about how to handle developers. So you might probably want to go and listen to that session again. I think that was the session with Tominsin, right? Tominsin of Softcom or so. Yeah, I think that was the session with Tominsin. So you might probably want to check the YouTube channel and listen to that again to see how you handle developer with issues with developers. I think she did a very, very explicit conversation on that. She also talked about this issue of buying stores for your developers, just like Bolaji shared as well. Buying, getting stores for your developer with your own personal funds sometimes, not necessarily even company budget. But yeah, also for some persons here, I also heard about some persons still trying to transition into product management, and I just want to chip in, right? Aside from what we do in the community, we also have like a training platform where we train people on product management skills, right? So instead of you trying to navigate around product management all by yourself and trying to figure it out, watch online courses, one of the things that we have done is to sort of put all of the things you need to learn into one place, right? So you don't have to be, watching 100 courses on Coursera, 100 courses on YouTube and all of this, right? We have put everything into one place as a course that you can take within InnovaLab, right? And one thing we have also done is that it's not just a training, it's also a training and a mentorship environment. So you have access to the instructors, you can reach out to them, you can reach out to people within the trainings, you have colleagues you are learning with, you're not just self-learning. And I think the most important thing is also the internship. So we have like an internship, open source internship that we organize in-house that helps people to build products from ground up with a team of devs and designers. So again, for some persons, they are already our students, some persons have taken our trainings already. So some of them have these experiences and they can sort of talk about how these experiences have changed the trajectory of their career as product manager. So if you are here, you are trying to understand product management, you're trying to transition into product management, then I would just say that, you just want to reach out to either myself or Blessing, or send a message to Blessing or myself, to know about how the course runs and, what it entails. A new course is starting this week, next week, on Wednesday. So even though you might want to join that course to, start to learn about product management, it runs for 10 weeks. And, you have training, you have mentorship, you have internship opportunity as well, where you get to work as a product manager within an open source team remotely, and you get to learn, how to work in a team, right? And it's a lot of experience that comes because you're going to build a live product. You're not working on projects, you're working on live products where you build something that will be made live, right? So that's what I just want to chip in. Again, once again, we appreciate Bolaji for taking the time to do this. Thank you so much to you guys as well for attending the session. And I believe that you've learned one or two things. Don't forget to check the YouTube channel. It will be uploaded on the channel for you to listen again and learn again at your own free time. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Blessing. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Blessing.
Baja said pretty much everything I was about to say. So yes, thank you so much, guys, for joining today's session. And I'll see you on the other side of any lab. Have a wonderful evening, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.